What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I am reviewing Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, written and directed by the creator, Kevin Smith, featuring the titular characters of Jay and Silent Bob, who have shown up randomly in a lot of different films before and after this one, and I considered for a moment reviewing all of those as well, just to prepare myself for Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, but I don't think that would been the best way to represent who these characters ultimately are, so I'm sticking with the movies where they're the main characters, starting with Strike Back. I actually think this will be challenging to properly review because the people making this movie have artifice while they act like they don't and everything's pointless, so let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, artifice, a clever or artful skill, or an artful stratagem. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back follow around the titular Jay and Silent Bob as they travel from New Jersey to Hollywood, California to stop the production of a film called Blunt Man and Chronic, which is based on their likenesses, and it has people around the world slandering their names on the internet, and they can't have that. Plus, they're contractually entitled to any money the movie makes, and because nobody informed them that the movie was even being made, they're not very happy about that. But they're mostly worried about having their names slandered. Honestly, I don't know where to begin with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back because the film is ridiculous, unrealistic, and an adventure film traveling from punchline to punchline, and I had a blast. It's crazy because the films like this I'm not usually the biggest fan of. I like smart jokes that take time to fester so that the punchlines have more pizzazz. But most of these jokes are built upon pretty quickly, and then the punchline occurs immediately after that, which happens over and over again. And as weird as it sounds, it works incredibly well because of who these characters are. That makes me think that the writing was actually spot on perfect, because this adventure that they're on can almost be compared to Forrest Gump, where they just run into all these different scenarios, all of which are ridiculous but hilarious, because of who these characters are. I'm not familiar with many of their appearances over the years. I've seen some of them, not all of them, but I usually enjoyed whatever the heck they're doing. Jay's over-the-top personality and Silent Bob's subdued but exaggerated body language make this character duo an unstoppable two-headed beast. If they were to separate, neither of them would be very interesting on their own, but as a combined character, they're noticeable from a mile away. They're able to set up a ton of jokes and land them all effortlessly. I was constantly impressed with the humor in this film. There was never a dull moment. Story-wise, you have something rather straightforward, which is an adventure film with a solid plot and a story goal. They're going after something. They sense value in doing that. There's a sense of urgency explaining why they have to do it right now, as opposed to later, and there are various characters strewn throughout the film placed there to challenge the main characters. The narrative is actually fine, which is actually surprising. You don't typically get a perfectly fine narrative in films like this because they're usually just more focused on doing the comedy right, and the narrative gets washed away usually. Thankfully, not here, and the narrative is in fact intact. They just used humor to explain it. Like, yeah, they sense value in what they're doing, but it's the wrong kind of value because the characters are dumb. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So what's true for them is all that matters, and it explains their actions pretty nicely. If I were to complain about anything in the film, I'd actually just say that I feel like I missed something. In general, this film doesn't feel like an introduction to the characters. When watching it, I felt like I missed something vital which explained who these guys even are. They're funny and truly unforgettable characters, but that doesn't really tell me who they are or where they came from. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I still felt like this film was a sequel, and it's not. Sure, they show up in films here and there as minor characters, but this was their first shot at being main characters, so there needed to be more there in terms of an introduction. It's a minor complaint, but I hate feeling like I missed something. I can't even watch a procedural TV show out of order. I have to start at the pilot episode, which is probably why I'll never get around to watching Law & Order, because then I gotta commit to decades of TV. That ain't happening. Everything else comes down to technicalities, most of which are unavoidable because it's a comedy, like story depth. Is there a deep or meaningful story in here? Or even the bones of one? Nice try. Moving along. So what did I score Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? 84%, 84 out of 100 possible stars, granting it the letter grade of B, which means it's a very solid comedy, and I'm really looking forward to the next film when that's released to digital next week. I am, however, interested to hear what you guys have to say about this movie, because it seems to be a movie that you either love or hate, and thankfully I was the former. How about you though? Did you love this movie, or did you hate it? Let me know below. As for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review and would like to see some other like it. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon because that helps notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!